is not needed, Mr. Speaker. Least of all by the honorable members. I haven't met one single member still, Mr. Speaker, and I'm only repeating this because it has been said, but we are repeating it to affirm the fact, Mr. Speaker, that none of these officers seated here today, none of these legislators had asked for that increment. And we would call upon the SRC to be a little bit more serious with their tasks. They have a heavy, their entry is full with claims by intern doctors, Mr. Speaker, with claims from JSS, Mr. Speaker, the teachers in JSS, Mr. Speaker. Have those issues been handled yet? Are there opportunities where young people could be accommodated within the public sector, where that available funding can then be disbursed towards supporting them, Mr. Speaker? We need to think outside the box and say, let's do things differently, Mr. Speaker, because if we do not do it differently, Mr. Speaker, once again, the change would change us, Mr. Speaker. I want to commend the Gen Z and also note that their level of debate, Mr. Speaker, in spite of the fact that there were quite a number of insults that are coming across the X space, I have also equally noted, Mr. Speaker, that these are very young, intelligent Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Their level of debate is very different from the levels of debates that we are having, Mr. Speaker. And for a moment, I asked myself, could this be the reason that maybe they don't watch the mainstream media? Because their level of analysis of issues was different and was very defined. They have facts and figures. There is nothing you would tell them about who was given which tender, Mr. Speaker. They're able to analyze for you from county number 1 to county number 47, how many tenders have been awarded by each county, who has been awarded, which companies have been awarded, who owns those companies. All that information, Mr. Speaker, is with the Gen Z. I must commend the level of transparency, because it's only when we are transparent and open with ourselves and with the systems and with the processes that change will begin to sweep across the whole nation, Mr. Speaker. All I want to persuade now, Mr. Speaker, to the Gen Z and to the people of Kenya, we have a nation. Many of us do not have an alternative to our nation, our statehood here. We belong to Kenya, Mr. Speaker. We are Kenyan citizens, Mr. Speaker. We do not even have dual citizenship, some of us. We have no other home except this home called Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, Kenya has been like a labor ward for many nations in this region, especially in the Great Lakes region, Mr. Speaker. And we must preserve our nationhood. We call for peace. We call for the end of the demonstrations, Mr. Speaker, and we allow dialogue to happen. We allow an opportunity for us to sit together. And I want to say to the Gen Z, who are our children actually, I'm a mother to 3 Gen Zs, Mr. Speaker, that if they ever had a friend, they have a friend in Senate. We are open to receive every petition. We are open to listen to them. We are open to see the issues that they don't agree, Mr. Speaker, with us, Mr. Speaker, and we are ready to implement what we can legislatively do to ensure that their confidence in us, Mr. Speaker, is restored. And I have also noted, Mr. Speaker, that they had very big issues also with the church. For some, they supported the church. For some, they had very big issues with the church and religious institutions, Mr. Speaker. And that has also now called for change in the way we conduct public officers, conduct their business with religious bodies, Mr. Speaker, so that if the fundraisers are causing so much trouble and so much drama, then, Mr. Speaker, it is time for us to rethink our position on how we handle that. And I speak that both as a believer and a very strong church member, that it is important we preach this gospel and preach it in such a way that, Mr. Speaker, it is acceptable not only to our age group, but it's also acceptable to our young children, acceptable to our young adults, acceptable to the students, and acceptable to the whole population, Mr. Speaker. This is an issue that has been pending on our in-tray, and a lot of pressure has come harm on the politicians also, if we can be honest about the fundraisers. Mr. Speaker, because when your competitor as a politician gives some money for fundraiser, which another politician cannot match, Mr. Speaker, instantly there is a liking by the public towards the one who is giving, and the one who is not giving is seen as though they are not working, Mr. Speaker. So the definition of public work or public service has to now be separated from fundraiser aspect, Mr. Speaker, so that a legislator who is supposed to be in Parliament doing oversight, doing legislation, doing representation, Mr. Speaker, must not be seen as a money-minting machine. So we need to slow down, even as Kenyans, how we conduct our business with the public officers. For instance, when a Kenyan is paying a bribe to a police officer, is it a member of Parliament who has them to pay that bribe? Maybe not, Mr. Speaker. It's a cultural change. And what the Gen Zs have said is that it is time for us to change our culture. We must be able to offer an environment, a governance environment, Mr. Speaker, where we can work 24 hours. We work daytime, we work at night, and women and children will have the security to walk through the streets, Mr. Speaker, and be able to conduct their businesses within a 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, I know Kenyans are smart people. We have seen the wanton destruction of property. My deepest apologies to all the business people who have suffered losses, heavy losses, and as a result of which a number of people may equally lose jobs. Young people will lose jobs, Mr. Speaker. That's an unfortunate position, one which we should not have found ourselves in.